welcome to BMXUltra.com, Toby. We're here at the 2025 Grands,
Yes, sir.
and you've got a whole bunch of new product over there in your booth.
Yeah, long story. We'll get into that a little bit, I guess. But we are coming out with a brand called SPP, Syndyt Performance Products. It's a take on all the stuff I've learned over the last 20 years, and hopefully make some better stuff for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, right. You've got a little bit of news for us too.
Yeah. So this is my official announcement this weekend. I'm no longer with Box.
Yeah, right.
After 13 years, I mean, we put a little press release out last year that I was leaving, but I stuck around. I helped them get to the finish line. They're doing really good right now. It runs like a machine there, so no really reason they need me around. So I wanted to create another product line. I kind of had golden handcuffs for a while, and with Syndyt, I wanted to create an ecosystem, allow me to do things with the frame that I couldn't do with the parts if I didn't have a frame partner, right? So I'm able to do a lot more things now that I have the frame. So that's what SPP is all about. And I'm sad to say, after 13 years at Box, I'm leaving this weekend. So
You don't look too sad. That's a pretty big smile you got on your face.
well, I like what I've got.
Yeah.
I like the parts, I think. And when you see the stuff, we'll show the guys the stuff. But when you see it, it's pretty unique stuff. It's stuff I've learned over the years. Yeah.
So you showed Syndyt frames at last Grands.
Well, 2 Grands ago, I showed a prototype frame, but we've only been selling frames for 11 months. So really, we're less than a year old as a company. But the year before, we did a lot of the prototypes on the track. So we did all our testing that first year. This year we were selling, so last year we were testing.
So how's the feedback been so far?
So far, so good. I got some work to do on some things, I think, make things better all the time, but we sold a lot of frames. I see them all over the track. We have new teams, the national team, we're underneath the pro team's tent. We got some riders on the track. We got 4 or 5 pros on them now. Yeah, it's been really good, yeah.
Could you have imagined 12 months ago that you would have like 3 massive tents here at Grands, huge teams?
No, it's different than Box for sure. At Box, we were kind of Switzerland, and we had to kind of work with everybody. So now here, as a bike company, you got to kind of be the main monocle of the show, right? The goal is. So yeah, we have the national team, which is like a grassroots development team, I should say. And then we have the factory team with Donovan Long. We've had for a long time. I've worked with Donovan, and now our new pro tent, which is Syndyt, right? So, yeah.
And the new products you just launched a week ago, was it?
Well, they've been on the track for about 6 months. So my engineers have been racing this stuff for quite a while on the field test. But I basically had to shove, any trade show, I call this a trade show, stuff always shows up at the last minute, right? So we got complete bike we're showing, which is a complete bike, just for the dealer-oriented stuff. So obviously our frame style. And then I'm showing some forks, number plates, handlebars, all kinds of stuff we're showing. But I pretty much have 90% of everything I want done. And so through 2026, you'll see that roll out. And of course, with the guys, Super Sports in Australia, Rodney, those guys will be taking all this stuff in, yeah.
So the number plates, I saw they look really good. There's an ad in Pool Magazine, a 3-piece number plate.
There are actually 7 pieces total. Yeah, 7 pieces total. So the idea was I didn't want to make just a single plate, because we always put in graphics on that. With these multiple pieces now, you can change the pieces and the colors to do whatever you want. So eventually we'll sell you just like kits. So if you have a black plate with chrome parts, you might want to make that black and pink, or you might want a yellow and pink. Obviously we can't do all that, but with all the parts, kind of Lego-ish, right? We can kind of build whatever you want. So yeah, 7 pieces, yeah.
It's funny that something so simple can look so superb with very, very, very just smart thinking about the way, like completely going, for want of a better term, outside the box and looking at something differently. But a really it's similar aesthetic to the Syndyt frame. Is that something you're trying to carry across into all of your?
Yeah, I got a style that I kind of wanted to bring, I think, for a while. Very sleek, lines and stuff like that. But I also want to show form and function. I think the plate does that. It has some kind of cooling fins. Obviously, do they work? No. They're not cooling the thing down, but they look great, right? But I think what I really wanted in the plate was to have bolts and detachable parts. So there's actually Allen bolts in the plate. And I made the plate thin enough to where it's actually lighter than all the competition. So the plate's light, even though it has some bolt and hardware in it, but it's very, 3-dimensional is probably not the word, but to me, it's completely different than anything we've seen before. So yeah.
And should we expect that aesthetic to follow through with seats and?
Yeah, we're doing like roundy, smooth lines. But yeah, you'll see a lot of that throughout when we see the fork, you can see the similarities in the fork. The fork has in-depth logos set inside the fork, much like the plate, right? So yeah, you'll start to see that stuff that's come across all the stuff that we're doing.
I did see the fork over in the booth, and it looks very slick. It looks almost more minimalized than some of the stuff you've done in the past. Is that a deliberate move?
Well, I think what we're trying to do is put badges on everything. So I like this red dot thing because it kind of sticks out a little bit. So we're doing minimal stuff, but always with a badge. So you can kind of like, okay, if I look far enough away, oh, that's got to be an SPP or a Syndyt product, right? With this red badge. There's similarities there, but yeah, you'll see it across the line. But I don't know, yeah, minimalistic's good, like that, yeah.
What else should we expect to see over the next, say, 6 to 12 months?
Well, there's hubs, there's carbon rims, there's a crank that I think we'll get a patent on. We've got a really unique crank that's coming. I'm really excited about that. And I'm going supersized, right? Because, you know, at Box we did oversized, so I'm making a lot of the parts larger. Now that I have a frame that I can put them into, I'm allowed to, or give me the freedom to do some bigger spindles, some bigger head tubes, stuff like that. My bars are 34.9, they're not 31.8, which gives me a lighter bar and stem in the long run. So supersize is kind of what we're doing, right? So even for little kids, you'll see tapered head tubes on little kid stuff, tapered forks, 15 millimeter axles for the front fork for a kid's frame. And I've got a lot of the dads understanding that oversized actually helps the little kids. There's a bit of weight penalty sometimes, but that stiffness really makes the bike handle. Even a 6-year-old can bend a Euro bottom bracket. I can, you know, they flex them, right? So I'm trying to bring that across to the little kid stuff. It's proven its point in the pro class. So
a real differentiator with your frame is the B52 bottom bracket.
yes.
What kind of axles would we expect to see with the new cranks?
Well, we're sitting with M35. That's kind of the sweet spot, right? 35 millimeter aluminum. At Box, we were doing 30 millimeter stuff, but under big impacts, it couldn't take it. But we couldn't put anything bigger than 30 millimeter through most frames. So I created B52. We've had some outside spec with that. Marshall had it. Mabo's experiencing with it. Some guys just went to T47, but they're still stuck with 30 millimeter spindle. But the 35 allows you an aluminum spindle, which is actually lighter than the chromoly spindle. So, but, and then you get rid of all the connectors and stuff, all the hardware, and just run your bearings inside the frame, right? Which all the other M35s are outside the frame, the bearings, right? So it's an inboard bearing, 35 millimeter axle, which is B52, right?
So for the old school guys like me, B52 is pretty much an American bottom bracket shell, but threaded.
Yes, I was going to say that. Yes, it's American, and that 52 just came from that.
Yeah.
We didn't know. It's funny because all we're playing on words there, but I didn't know American bottom brackets were 52 millimeters until we measured one once. I go, well, there's your number. Everything fit inside, so we just threaded it. We did make it wider so the bearings can be inside, but it's American bottom bracket with threads. Yeah.
Did you ever consider making, say, a wider rear end, looking at like 135 mil or anything like that?
Yes, I want to do that, but I almost did it on the forks, but we're forcing people to get a different wheel or a different hub. And that's always been an Achilles heel for me. When I made the 31.8 bar, first one to do that, won the awards at Euro or at Interbike and all that, but you have to buy the stem too. And it took a long time for people to really embrace that. Same with the 20 millimeter fork. Got to buy a hub, got to build a wheel. So slowly but surely, yes. But I agree with you, I think it should be wider. Yeah.
I think we'll cut it short there because you've got a lot to show us later on. But thanks very much for joining us and letting us know what's going on over at Syndyt.
Well, thanks for coming by and seeing us.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Shane.
Thanks.